This league is out of hand. This is insane. This is absurd. I was getting ready to do a video and I get an alert. Boom, breaking news. I see Shams. I see the word fired. And I'm like, uh-oh, did the Sixers finally do something? No. The Denver Nuggets have fired coach Michael Malone, sources tell ESPN from Shams Charania. I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality, a different universe. This is the last thing I expected to see today. The Denver Nuggets have fired coach Michael Malone. Wait, what? And then we get this on top. The Denver Nuggets have fired general manager Calvin Booth. Michael Malone and Booth both out today. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked, 2 weeks ago at this point? I don't even know when it was. About the Memphis Grizzlies firing Taylor Jenkins with 9 games remaining on the schedule. And I thought that was ludicrous and out of this world. And essentially was another way of saying, hey, we're throwing in the towel. We give up. We're moving on to next season. Then you have Ja Morant getting in trouble and all these things. And look, I know Taylor Jenkins probably wasn't on the rise. He was on the decline. But to fire a coach with less than 10 games remaining made no sense to me, especially when you're in the playoff race in the Western Conference. And now, with 3 games to go in the regular season, we are imploding an entire franchise. Look, I'm not here to defend the Denver Nuggets. And for all the Nuggets fans out there that used to come at us Sixer fans and, we're building a dynasty. We're going to be a dynasty. Well, what happened now? I think the lesson we've learned is that the window to capitalize on opportunity is so very small nowadays that if you don't take advantage of it and push the right buttons in the exact right sequence, you're going to end up in a situation like this. I mean, it's crazy nowadays what we are seeing. Yazi Goslin says, with the exception of Steve Kerr, all championship winning head coaches between 2020 and 23 have now been fired within 2 years of winning the championship. I mean, man, this is hard to believe, right? Who was it? Vogel, Budenholzer, and Malone all gone after winning a chip a couple years later. Nick Nurse won a chip. He's out from Toronto. Like, things change quickly, man. And I do not agree with this at all. I think this is wild, and I just am having a hard time believing it. I mean, we'll talk about the Nuggets in a second, but this is now tied for the latest coaching change in NBA history. Why would you do this with a couple games left? You have essentially conceded. And oh, by the way, the Nuggets are also in the playoff race. Am I right? The Nuggets are in the playoff race. Like, what are they doing? Michael Malone has the most wins in franchise history, fired a week before the postseason. Bobby Mark says, I promised the word shocking would be removed from my vocab after Luka, but this is a stunner. Denver is 11-13 post All-Star break, but has seen Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray miss significant time in March and April. Their defense has fallen off a cliff. They could easily be the 4 seed or the 7-8 play-in game next Tuesday. It's crazy to see a couple years ago how well this machine was oiled and how good it was running and how it looked like they were setting up the pieces to build a contender for many years. And now it's over. And I'll tell you, from an outsider perspective, I do not agree with firing Malone. Now, if you wanted to get rid of Calvin Booth because he built a roster that was less than optimal, I understand that. I still wouldn't do it at the end of a season, but who'd they sign? Dario Saric? Shout out to our boy Dario. They signed Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is terrible. Yesterday, I called him the Ben Simmons of Marshawn Lynch's because he's out there on a post-game interview just saying, I don't know, giving off that impression he doesn't care. That was one of your prized acquisitions in the offseason. It's all about managing the cap with this new CBA and setting things up. They have a couple really good young players like a Christian Brown that can complement Jokic. And by the way, Jokic has been having these, out-of-body experience type of games. And Jamal Murray's been hurt. And Aaron Gordon's still a pretty good player. MPJ up and down. But to fire Michael Malone, who has literally revived this franchise, is crazy. It really is. Michael Malone started in 2015 And he was 33-49 that season. That's also the first year in which Nikola Jokic was on the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Michael Malone was a direct reason that Jokic became the level of player he is. And don't get me wrong, he is amazing. But he definitely helped. He helped solidify that core. He helped get Jamal Murray to this level. He helped design an offense and was kind of the architect around building this scheme around Jokic in which everything flows so seamlessly, and helped, bring in the right pieces, had a voice in that. And you see the numbers over time of Jokic. Let's go back to Michael Malone. Goes from 33-49, 40-42, 46-36, 54-28, and they've had winning seasons ever since. They go 53-29, win the championship a couple years ago. Last year, 57-25. And then 47-32 they are right now. And they're in the playoff race. Let's pull up the standings, because I know everything is a tight race right now, at least in the West. But you're right there. And I've actually viewed the Nuggets as a team, maybe not the number 1 or 2, but like maybe in that 3-4 range for me. And now they just canned them before the playoffs. Like, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't make sense. This NBA season has just been like balls to the wall crazy. What? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that the Sixers are in a very precarious situation and there's going to be a lot of decisions made, maybe some tough ones. I've been on the record for the last couple of weeks here saying, based on how Nick Nurse is acting, it feels like he doesn't want to be here anymore. And my question to you is, should the Sixers look at Michael Malone if Nick Nurse is not the coach of this team next year? Whether the Sixers fire him, which going back and forth, I mean, coaching a team with all these injuries and drama and 53 different lineup combinations, do I think all that's on Nurse? No, he did not help the situation, but it's also almost impossible to coach in that situation. But if Nurse says, you know what, I'm done with this, I don't want to deal with it anymore. Guy looks like he's aged 20 years this year, and he's just sick of it, and he steps down. Michael Malone is a perfect candidate to come in here and replace Nick Nurse, because if Joel Embiid is ever healthy again, or whoever else is in here, Michael Malone is going to help bring that back to fruition and create a scheme and a design not only around Joel Embiid, but around Paul George, and find ways to get these guys incorporated and to help them lead this team. He's also done a really good job at helping build up some of these young players that the Nuggets have right now and that they've had over the last 5 to 6 years. A lot of them were integral parts of winning the championship a couple years ago. So while I don't think he's perfect, and yeah, sometimes he does act like a you-know-what to the media, I mean, he's very backing of his players. He has bold opinions and takes, but he's never afraid to say what's on his mind. And I mean, maybe the dynamic wouldn't work here with the Sixers front office, because it does seem like Michael Malone wants that power. But you know what? All the players that have played for him, all the things that were said about him a couple years ago from the players was positive. Like, he feels like a player's coach. And I don't think it's Michael Malone's fault that he's forced to play Russell Westbrook, who can't even make a layup in the open court and, just makes these bonkers decisions at the end of games. And I don't think it's his fault that he has to play Dario Saric as the backup 4 and 5 sometimes. So, yeah, I mean, this is very surprising. I cannot believe it. I don't know what the NBA is anymore, or what's going on in this season, or why they now have 2 teams in the Western Conference that have fired their coach before the end of the season. Memphis was on the downturn. I even understand Memphis more than this one. What does Jokic think about this? If we look at Nikola Jokic, I mean, some of the games that this guy has had recently, and I think that this was the first time the Nuggets have lost 3 in a row this season. So, like, what is going on here, man? Jokic is, right there in the MVP race with SGA. We look at some of his recent games, even though they've lost, 61 points, 33, 41. I mean, look at these numbers. This is crazy. Jokic cannot be happy about this. Jamal Murray's still rehabbing. I don't think he's happy about this. And the Nuggets' short-lived hope of a dynasty is done. It is done. And the NBA is crazy. You never have job security. You never know what's going to happen day to day. I can't believe what I just saw. If the Sixers do not move forward with Nick Nurse, Michael Malone might be the guy to go get. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give me your thoughts down below as we continue to unpack this absolute maddening season from the NBA. But Michael Malone is now the second playoff coach fired in the last 10 games of the season. Welcome to the 2024-25 NBA season. Insane. Give me your thoughts down below. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.